Alright, today we will be analyzing the body language of Mr. Lee Hsien Yang. I've met him once way back in 2003, just after completing my national service. I was organizing a wellness program for his staff. At that point in time, he was the Chief Executive Officer of Singtel. So I brought in one of my trainers to conduct a wellness talk, a lunchtime talk. So he was very friendly and approachable gentleman. I was standing at the doorway waiting for my trainer to complete, and he was just about to complete his talk when he approached me and thanked me for organizing the event, and he welcomed me to attend the post-program lunch. I told him, I said, it's fine, maybe you just proceed it for your staff. And he assured me that there was enough food. He said, don't worry, just help yourself. There's more than enough food for everyone. So very welcoming and friendly gentleman. So today we'll just analyze his body language. During this interview, he was explaining about how he felt he was wrongly persecuted and why he sought asylum in the UK. And it was just a very short excerpt of a longer version, but we just mainly focus on his eye accessing cue and non-verbal gestures as well, and his verbal body language, tone, volume, pitch, and the speed of his voice. Now, he's always, just to let you know that you need to assess body language as a cluster in order to come up with a more accurate gauge of the decoding. Means, for example, if someone is crossing their legs, yes, it could be a sign of defensiveness and not being open to share ideas. However, if you know the background of that particular person, they might have always been comfortable sitting in this manner. So if that's the case, it's not because they are being defensive or withholding information or being uncomfortable, but that's their most comfortable sitting position. And also not just one particular body language gesture. You're going to look at every single aspect. If you have 3 or more gestures pertaining to that particular decode that you would like to come up with, that's more accurate than just looking at one particular gesture. So let's just look at his entire body language and see what.
The tribunal was completely captive and gave 100%. Every single charge they accepted all.
Okay, right from the beginning, he was mentioning about the charges, about a particular case. So his hands go right up there and then below that. So when someone is coming up with ideas or certain facts that they want to emphasize, they put it over the top. So when you're speaking, you want to come across as maybe gentler, then you use the open palm gesture relating to your shoulder wave and from your chin all the way to your belly button. But when you want to emphasize a particular point on idea, then you go over the top. We go way above, or above your head limit, head length. Yeah, the idea gesture, like, okay, this is what I feel, this is the best idea, so it goes over. So it's a very good way to emphasize point or to showcase an idea.
Law. It's called the Ministry for Law. It doesn't dispense justice, it deals with laws. I was forced to seek asylum. I was the victim of persecution by the Singaporean authorities. It has taken place over a long period of time, and it has escalated over that period of time.
Okay, you mentioned that he has been persecuted and is over a period of time, so he emphasized and tilt of the head to show that there's a level of discomfort there. But you notice that his tone, pitch, volume and pace of voice is very comfortable, very neutral. And this is the way that he's always been speaking, very conversational tone of voice, very well-mannered and respectful way, even though he might be uncomfortable with certain subject or he feels that he has been hard done by, but the tone, mannerism, and the volume, and basically the volume, main thing, the volume is lower. We don't go, don't he doesn't go way over the top. That's with the gesture, but it doesn't go with the volume. And
it's well documented. And in June 2022, it reached a point where it was unsafe for me to remain in Singapore. And my wife and I left hurriedly. And when we arrived in the UK, we took advice. And then we sought asylum.
Okay, notice that his legs are crossed, like I mentioned earlier on, and his hands is clasped together. Clasping hands can mean various things. For example, it's a sign of respect, a sign of authority. It could also be a sign of nervousness. But if we are looking at two gestures, a combination of it, for example, these crossed legs and hands clasped together, a sign of speaking with authority, firmness, but yet inviting, showing respect to the interviewer. What would be not so good would be to cross your arms and lean back. That way you don't show cross arms, cross legs, and leaning back. Three gestures that show that you're not so inviting to the interviewer. But for his case, leaning forward, eye contact with the interviewer, speaking in a tone of voice that is neutral, shows respect to the interviewer and those that are listening. Let's carry on.
Described as the facilitation for
Humble legs. When
Okay, look at that. Classic open palm gesture. This is the way. So what does open palm gesture indicate? Yes, honesty, sincerity, and being upfront. It's just honesty. I got nothing to hide. This is what I feel. This is what I'm speaking about. This is the whole story about it. So let's just see what else.
Humble legs. When in fact, it's just some of it is just no longer there. Actually, in the process of the asylum claim, more things happened to me in Singapore, which of course added to the list of bases by which I claimed asylum.
I would like to concentrate on the eye accessing cue. Now, when you have someone who you can look at very clearly, close proximity, and you can observe their eyes, you can tell exactly, not really exactly, but I would say 80% accuracy, whether what they are saying is what they believe and is the truth, or they're coming up with something, or coming out with ideas. It means constructing. So when somebody, the person that you're looking at, looks to their left, they are telling you, they are remembering incidents. That means they are thinking of an actual incident that has happened. So if they look towards their right, that means they are constructing, they are coming up with an idea, they are thinking about something, they are making, they are imagining, or they're just coming up with an idea. In this case, look at it, look at his facial expression. He's looking towards his left. That means these are true incidents that he's trying to recollect. And for visual cues, there are 3 different positions of your eyes. For example, if you look up from the right, you are remembering a visual, that means an image or an incident. Look towards your ear, it's the sideways, like what he's doing. You're remembering a conversation, something relating to your auditory, means listening. You're remembering a conversation that you had. You look downwards, that means you are remembering like a dialogue, internal self-talk, or what did this person say. So it's right hand side, honesty, recollecting what an actual event has happened. So he's being honest and upfront with what has happened. So he's thinking about, but probably it's a mixture of auditory, means something that has happened relating to a conversation, something that you've heard of, that made him feel this way. So, actual truth.
To the list of bases by which I claimed asylum. At the end of the day, the UK has made a decision. I think that decision recognizes that I have been the victim of persecution by the Singapore authorities using the organs of the state in a tightly controlled country like Singapore, where my brother was the Prime Minister and held the levers for power. There's no way these things happen.
Okay, just a follow-up on eye accessing cues. If, for example, you would like to know whether this is really true, do this. You approach somebody, just have a friend with you or family member. Ask them this question, 2 questions. Number 1, ask them to recall their favorite holiday experience. Where would their eyes be when they are recollecting? That's right, if it's an actual holiday that they have experienced, look to your right, a bit upwards, right? Visual always up. So they'll think that it could be a split second, it could be just 2 seconds, or it could be as long as 1 minute. It was a wonderful experience. They'll be thinking a long time, wow, I went to Japan, this was wonderful thing. Sometimes when they're thinking about it, their head might tilt upwards, but most of the time it's just their eyes. So you keep a lookout on their eyes. And second question you ask them, after they've finished sharing about their favorite holiday destination, ask them the second question. Ask them, imagine your most perfect day. How would it be like? So then they are recollecting and imagining how it's going to be like. So then where would their eyes be? Where would it go? Or a split second or a minute or more than that? Go to their left, because why? They're thinking of the future. They're coming up with an idea, right? They're coming up with an image. They're constructing an image. How would their perfect day be like? So you see, you try this out with somebody and you can see the accuracy of it. It is really quite accurate. The times when it can be not accurate is if somebody with mental disorder, or for example, they feel like, oh, what they're saying is true, but then there's some disorder, maybe the chemical in their brains are not balanced out, or they're on some kind of antidepressant or any medication, then their eye accessing cues might be distorted. But other than that, it's quite accurate. I would say about 80%, maybe more than that.
In Singapore, without his knowledge, his consent, and his agreement.
Okay, so that's basically what he mentions. Tone of voice, calm, cool, no like sudden raising and sudden lowering. So calm, cool demeanor. This has always been his way of expressing himself. I've watched a few of his speeches when he was helping out with the Progress Singapore Party, and he's always spoken this way, a conversational and calm manner. Let's see if there's any more of what he has to say.
You see the shiny exterior, but beneath that, there's a repressive nature to that regime, and there are people fleeing from.
Okay, you notice when he's mentioning about there's a shiny exterior, but beneath that there's a dangerous demeanor. His eye accessing cue is still the same. You see, he's thinking about thinking about a conversation that made him feel this way. So it's a truthful sharing of experience, honest sharing of experience.
To that regime, and there are people fleeing from it. I'm the most prominent example of that. Affluent, democratic, free country. The veneer is quite thin. Look beneath it, and there's a dark side. I think the day will come when things will change. It's hard to say when, and often when it comes swiftly. I hope it will come in my lifetime, and that one day I'll be able to return to my home.
So he ended up by expressing his desire to one day come back home, and the gestures remained the same. So throughout the interview, his legs were crossed and his hands were on his lap. Couldn't really see really whether there were more hand gestures because of the angle of the camera, but from what we can observe, basically it's the same hands claps on a knee. If you're holding on to your knee, let's say you're grasping it, it's probably you're uncomfortable with something, you're seeking support and feeling a bit nervous. But for his case, hands claps together, not really holding on and gripping the knee or gripping the chair. So it's coming out as comfortable, but yet respectful to the interviewer and everybody who's listening in. So that's it. So remember, eye accessing cue, very important for those of you who are investigators, you're in the police force, you're a private investigator, you're a teacher, you're a doctor, doesn't matter, you're communicating with someone, especially with a counselor. Eye accessing cues are important because you can actually roughly tell if someone is telling you the truth or they are hiding something. So take note, very important. Familiarize yourself with eye accessing cues. We can never know where it might come in handy. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any more questions or any requests or any other body language analysis, drop me an email. Have a great day.